So that was the address of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to top representatives of business houses in China, making a strong pitch for investment in India. And joining me in the studio is foreign affairs expert Dr. Sreeram Chaulia. Dr. Chaulia, if you were to just rate Prime Minister Modi's business pitch in China today, what would you really say? He concluded by saying that now India is ready for investment, and I assure you my personal attention.
It's an A minus, which is second best to A. I think he's done his lot, his best to sell the prospect of India as a great market opportunity. And in a way, he's compensating for probably the damn squib on the border issue and the political issues on which we didn't make much headway, despite high expectations prior to the summit. So I think this is the day when he can say that I have created a lot of deliverables and carry homes. I think they've already mentioned, the CEOs have mentioned over $10 billion worth of investments and loans and so on. So I think it'll all add up, and it'll help to move the economic gravy train forward. And I caught three phrases from Prime Minister Modi's address to the CEOs. One, he kept talking about rationalizing procedures. Two, he kept talking about simplifying procedures, and three, he spoke about predictability and return on investment and so on. So I think he is hitting the right chords as far as that's what people want to hear. Of course, the translation on the ground remains, and that is the big challenge for India. But I think he's projecting the image that it's a place where you can come and actually do business and actually recoup good profits. He spoke about taxation. That was very important because in the past, the Vodafone tax row and such things have held back foreign investors. Retroactive, he said, we have stopped doing this. And he also spoke about other legislations. The land acquisition remains stuck, but it is one of those things that people will be watching to how far we can walk the talk. And I think Prime Minister is pretty seasoned at doing this. He has come to China before when he was Chief Minister, and he, I think, has a pulse of what the Chinese business community wants, and he's still learning. He's been taking a lot of notes all through this morning's itinerary in Shanghai, and I think he's noting down some of the concerns the Chinese have raised in the past about inhospitable investment climate. All these things are going to add up, I think. And he said, I'm going to give personal attention. That phrase, again, stands out to me because that is what people want to hear. Because in the past, the leadership or the will from the top has seemed to be missing. What Mr. Modi is saying that I'm the CEO of India, essentially. And all these other business honchos who are with me are my brothers in arms. And therefore, we will together make it easier for you guys to make business.
Right. And I have with me in the studio Dr. Sreeram Chaulia, foreign affairs expert. Dr. Chaulia, really, there are a lot of interesting points in Prime Minister Modi's interaction with business leaders there in Shanghai. He also came up with something called a 5F formula for investment, and of course his Make in India campaign. Again, he's giving it a strong pitch there.
He has these pithy formulations that are catchy, and they're more like B-school, slogans, and they really come across well to business audiences. And I think the key point, the takeaways here for me is it's a modernization-based partnership rather than a strategic partnership. We've been using this phrase rather loosely. Actually, we still have a lot of strategic differences that have not been bridged with China. But on modernization, on urbanization, on industrialization, on all these aspects the Prime Minister touched upon today, where he invited the Chinese business community to come, I think that is where real potential lies for the future of this bilateral relationship.
Okay, so Prime Minister Modi's address to CEOs in Shanghai is something that's up for discussion at the moment. Joining me on the broadcast is our consulting editor for strategic affairs, Maruf Raza. Maruf, I'm sure you must have heard the Prime Minister a short while back making a strong pitch in front of Chinese investors there, and very conveniently it looks like business has taken precedence over diplomatic issues, and contentious issues have taken a backseat. Well, I guess I'll have to go to Maruf in just a bit. Let me go across to Dr. Sreeram Chaulia with me in the studios. Dr. Chaulia, really, like I was talking about contentious issues being, conveniently sort of brushed aside in terms of the strategic partnership between the two countries. Would you say that, has that happened? Was it supposed to happen like this, that business will take precedence, at least as far as this visit of the Prime Minister is concerned?
The build-up to this summit was that we'll have major breakthroughs on the boundary and But I think what both sides have realized is that the expectations have outrun the reality. So they're toned down the expectations. But the joint statement of yesterday does say that we are making progress, and they want to make it faster, quicker, and to resolve some of these outstanding disputes. Prime Minister was, of course, very forthright in saying that China must reconsider and rethink its approach where there have been obstacles in the past. And I'm sure in private he would have communicated our distaste for the POK economic corridor that they're building. We have not signed on to the Chinese One Belt, One Road mega project, which the Chinese had been expecting. So on those issues, it's clear that, we have drawn the red lines. But within those parameters, there's so much else we can do. Prime Minister saying we need to learn from the Chinese on urbanization, on construction industry, and modernization. That's great. Prime Minister saying, there's so much synergy. Vishal Sikka, I liked what he said, CEO of Infosys. He said, Prime Minister is opening frontiers for the business community. And that should be ideally the kind of role that I think Mr. Modi himself envisages, which is he is actually a catalyst and a facilitator. And frankly, we have not discovered each other, the business communities and the opportunities, as he said, are underutilized. And that's partly because the states have been at loggerheads. But now what Prime Minister is saying, we can also work out at the state level how to ease the business operations on both sides. So the politics is there, but there's also politics which is necessary to guide the corporate conjuncture on both sides.
Right.
And there, I think Prime Minister and Li Keqiang yesterday, who is in charge of the economy formally in the Chinese hierarchy party, they, I think, had substantive discussions that will continue to happen. And that's where the role of the state as a facilitator for the ease of doing business, I think that's coming out centrally. And here the expectation of our CEO is clear. They are also praising Mr. Modi because they're saying he's opening the frontiers. So China actually, is not a frontier for the rest of the world. But for us, it still is, because we have not utilized the potential yet. I mean, if you look at Japan, if you look at America, I mean, China is like the #1 destination. For most of them, Asia means China. And even for Southeast Asian partners. So we are late in the game, and I think hopefully we'll plug in, and this time in the next 5 to 10 years, the commercial relationship will take off.
So with us in the studio is Dr. Sreeram Chaulia. Also with us is Times Now's strategic affairs expert Maruf Raza. But Dr. Chaulia, I want to ask you first, in this entire visit, and in fact in the relations between the two countries, India and China, do you think that sticky issues like the boundary dispute have taken a bit of a backseat, and trade is the primary focus as far as the two countries are concerned?
Yeah, the public discourse is conveying that message. But I think they have discussed the thorny subjects as well, and they have committed to speedy and proactive resolution of those things, as per the statement yesterday. And I think those rare personal moments when Prime Minister was closeted with Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang, I'm sure he must have said, one-on-one that, listen, the history is demanding that we make dramatic transformations. I think he's the kind of person, he's very eager for big changes. And so I don't think he's going to be satisfied by just letting these be on the back burner. These are going to come back. Luckily, this time there's been no border incursion. Usually we have these coinciding with these high-profile summits as if to embarrass our leaders. But there is still what can be called a needle on these issues. The state media has not been very kind to Mr. Modi in some instances. Even the state media, there are like different branches. So Global Times can be very hawkish, while China Daily and People's Daily can be different. And so they're sending out mixed messages. I equate it with the lion dance that Mr. Modi got when he arrived in Xi'an day before, where, the lion dance is a great sign of prosperity and for wishing. They usually perform it around New Year's time to beckon for, wealth and fortune. So that's an indicator that they want to progress on economic issues. But the lion dance, the face of the performer is always hidden. So it also sends a mixed message that, and it comes out of martial arts tradition and, the performance arts. So I think there the Chinese are saying that, in a way symbolically, that we have, it's a complex relationship. It's a bivalent, as some people have called it, where there's a competition come cooperation. Mr. Modi will want the second part of this equation, the cooperation, to go forward, be it on economic or political issues. We have not beaten around the bush. We've been pretty forthright and straightforward, where we have differences alliances with them, and I think they know. In fact, Modi government should be credited in the past also, when the Chinese have demanded, why are you not reiterating your one China policy? And then Sushma Swaraj shot back saying, you will do that if you reiterate and commit to a one India policy. So I think they know that, and frankly, they're pragmatic, and they know we are not a push around or a pushover, and I think they will see where they can gain from this interaction. And I think that's what Prime Minister is saying. If from historical times to contemporary times, we have gained through mutual exchanges, especially in economic areas. And frankly, before Tibet was occupied, we didn't have much of a political problem either. We have had dynasties and kingdoms that were never at loggerheads with each other. So this is a contemporary issue of the last 60 years, and hopefully, history is going to turn around, and we're going to have a new chapter in this relationship.